I'm Dr. Wendy Walsh. I have a PhD in clinical psychology. I'm not a therapist. I don't have a license, but I'm a psychology professor. And I have a radio show, the Dr. Wendy Walsh Show on KFI AM 640 Los Angeles. And let's see what else about me. I've written 3 books on relationships. I wrote my dissertation on attachment theory. I'm a little bit obsessed with the science of love and the way that people connect. So I want to welcome all my social media. I have TikTok up here on my phone. So if my eye line keeps changing, it's because down here on StreamYard, we should be going live now everywhere else. YouTube, Facebook, everywhere except Instagram, because it's not hooked up with StreamYard. But anyway, I'm here to answer any of your relationship questions. I love to start off my live streams with you just telling me where you're watching from, because I find it so fascinating that I have so many followers around the world. So on whatever platform you're on, I'll be checking the comments over here on StreamYard as well. Tell me where you're watching from. It's always nice. And also if you have any questions, hello, North Carolina. So you have to go up here to see it. Maybe, if I tilt back that way, then they have a weird shot. Let's see. I think it needs to be just a little higher so I can see. Hi, Buenos Aires. How are you? Hello from Texas. Nice to see you too. Georgia, hi. Let's see where else. More Texas. Halifax, Nova Scotia. That's where I was born, just to let you know, although I've been in LA for 30 years, but that's where I'm from. Birmingham, Alabama. Hello. Missouri, hi. More Texas. Texas, Texas. Nice. You guys having heat waves down there? Is Texas burning yet? I know. Hello, Toronto. I lived there too. I've lived in lots of places in Canada because my dad was in the Canadian Navy. Delray Beach, Florida. I actually lived there too for a bit. I move around a lot, okay, folks? I love to, I did Saudi Arabia. Hello, I did not live there. Brisbane, Australia. You know, even though I do that segment on mornings in Australia, I have never been there. Isn't that terrible? Yay, some California people. This is where I am, Los Angeles, California. You're in LA too. Nice neighbors. Let me put in the comments over here. Dallas, hello, nice to see you. Jonathan, where are you watching from? Tell me. Okay, so the comments are open. I do this live stream for about 15 minutes on Wednesday before I head over to my exclusive Zoom room on Patreon. If you'd like to join my Patreon community, it is patreon.com/Dr. Wendy Walsh, but I'm here for you now. So if you have any relationship questions, let me know. Hi, North Carolina, and thank you for the compliment. Punch your questions up. I'm here. Tonight in our, from Calgary. I love Calgary. I ski in Banff. How to bring it up? How to bring what up? When will I find my soulmate? Well, first of all, there are many, many soulmates out there. That's an excellent question. I don't actually believe in soulmates, but the research shows that if you believe in a soulmate, then you'll value your relationship that much more. So it's one of the things, that magical thinking that you found the perfect match helps keep you together, actually. The truth is relationships are far more about skill than luck, and learning good relationship skills is very, very important. Why must I be hard to date? Are you kidding? My boyfriend was so happy to meet somebody who looks at relationships in a scientific way, and we talk about things in often very logical ways. Not that we don't have passion and love. Oh, Jonathan's in New York City. Okay, so somebody says, Persis says, what should I do with an ex who wants to go back? Well, I just want to say this. You may want to go back, and maybe that's a good thing. But the best predictor of somebody's future behavior is their past behavior. So if there's a part of you who thinks they've changed, I would suggest that the two of you go into therapy and find out if you really have changed. How do you stop comparing your relationship with others? It's really important, because it's only about what it feels like inside you. And if you think that your friends have richer or more beautiful or younger or whatever, higher status mates in some way, then you'll always devalue your mate. It's really important that we understand that human beings and our human brain suffers from something called a paradox of choice. That means the more choice we have, the less likely we are to make a choice. And when we do make a choice, we don't value that choice as much because we're thinking about the bigger, better deal that got away. So in today's times where new mates are a thumb swipe away, we really have to work hard to not compare our mate to others, to not compare our relationship to others, but to just focus on the value that's there in our relationship. Yeah, that is the issue with online dating, too much choice. And therefore, it's a kind of biohacking of your brain. And the way to beat it, of course, is to match with fewer people online and get in the real world as soon as possible. But if you have a box full of, 20 potential matches and you're chatting with them all, you'll never, it'd be very difficult. Okay, so what else? How do I know when I'm ready to date again? Together for 5 years. I don't know what that means. You mean that you just broke up and you want to know how long should you practice self-care before there's no real rule. Some people say the best way to get over somebody is to get interested in somebody else. It helps you heal. Some people like to take time to heal. Sometimes if you take too long to heal, you're not healing, you're avoiding. Because the thing is this, the only way to learn relationship skills is to practice them. The only way to learn how to choose better mates is to choose another mate and go, oh, made a mistake there too. I think it's important that you kind of stay in the game, but not inundate yourself with too many choices. Is it normal to have doubts in a relationship? Yes, it's very, very, and the research really supports this, that nobody wakes up every single day of their dating life or married life and says, oh, I'm with the perfect person. I'm so lucky. The truth is you have moments where you're like, did I do the right thing? Is this okay? And I want you to know that those feelings, especially when they're fleeting, are very, very normal. On the other hand, if you feel a growing resentment and the conflict is continuing and things aren't ever resolved and you're not really working through and processing stuff, well, that's something different. Oh, I mean, okay, somebody named Lulu on YouTube has a good question. This guy keeps telling me he's interested in me and never asked me on a date. We only meet at my place. I'm sharing a flat with his best friend. That's how we met. Please advise. Well, don't give him your time or attention. If he comes over and he hasn't asked you out, he hasn't invested time, money, energy in you, he's just using words like, I'm interested in you, then you say, then ask me out on a date. I mean, plenty of guys need a little bit of guidance. I had a video once on TikTok that went viral that many of my followers told me that they found it very, very helpful. And it is how to respond to that text where the guy simply says, want to hang out sometime? And the women are so confused by this because they're not sure, does he just mean as friends? What is this? Does he want to just, have a friend with benefits? Is this light? What is this? And so I always say, if you're interested in the person and you're looking for a long-term relationship, now not everybody is. You could be looking for short-term casual sex, fine, go hang out. But if you're looking for a long-term relationship, the correct response is, are you asking me for a date? And see what happens. And they will say yes or no. Jonathan, I'm going to get to your question next. Let me take one more. On TikTok, I want to remind everybody, I just do this for a few minutes on Wednesday nights. This right before I go to my private exclusive Zoom room on my Patreon community. We have a lovely brain trust of people who weigh in on relationship topics. You just go to patreon.com/Dr. Wendy Walsh. And I'd love to meet you over there. You can open your camera and say hello. What would you do about an addict husband? It's always, wait, you got to go back. It's always best to leave after the trust is broken. I assume you mean substance addicted, not addicted to sex. What should one do about an addict husband? Okay, well, the most important thing when you're dealing with substance, darn, I don't know what I just did here. I think I started answering, is that you don't enable, right? So I would definitely get into Al-Anon or one of those organizations that is going to help you figure out who you are and what your piece is of this so that you can create better boundaries. It's a very difficult thing, but I really want you to reach out for professional help. Zoe said, oh, I didn't answer. I don't know what happened to Jonathan's comment. It went away. Zoe's is, how can I let go? I have a hard time letting go of people who have disappointed and treated me badly for years, friendships and romantic. You know what? It sounds like that you're dealing with loss and that it's probably not about these current people in your life, Zoe. It's probably with some trauma that might have happened earlier. So I highly recommend that you reach out to a licensed therapist, because if you're finding this over and over, it's a pattern with a lot of different people, friendships as well as romantic relationships, then I think there's something deeper going on. Okay, let me go up here. Advice for those who don't have long-term relationship experience. Get some experience. Stick it out. I think it's really important that you practice communication skills, conflict skills, being authentic with your feelings. You know, I have to remind everybody that the act of finding a compatible mate is about saying no to many, 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 many incompatible mates. So you try out stuff. You go, okay, well, I was real and kind, and I felt like I was my highest self, and I wasn't treated respectfully, or it wasn't reciprocated. Then you just go, okay, moving on. That's what people with a secure attachment style do, right? Thank you for your compliment. That's very sweet of you. Do we have any other questions here? How to prolong the honeymoon phase. Where did that go? I liked that question. Here it is. Jason asked that. How to prolong the honeymoon phase. So some people call this the lumerance phase, the lustful phase, that really exciting time with the neurohormones where you're not making good decisions because you're so in love with the person, and you can stay up all night late, talking, and not even feel tired the next day. And that's great, but you can't really prolong it. I mean, one of the things you can do is just slow everything down, not rush it. I will say that. But once your brain starts to get used to those neurohormones, then I want you to appreciate the next stage of love, right? Where your brain is gonna kick into gear. You're gonna do a little bit of a cost benefit analysis, and you're going to move into a mature kind of companionate love. And that's where you really get to know somebody really well. Is it always unhealthy to move quickly from one relationship into another? Depends. If you have had long-term relationships in the past, and that were healthy, and you know what secure love feels like, then moving to somebody who doesn't have a secure attachment style, doesn't make you feel good, moving away could be a sign of health. Now, there are other people who are intimacy avoidant, and as soon as things get a little close and tender, they move away. So that's really the question. I don't really answer questions on mental health. I don't have a license. I teach developmental psychology and health psychology, and I've been writing about the science of love for about 30 years. Can I say in a dating app bio, I only want a high value, classy gentleman? No, you need to discern what that is, because it makes you look like, I don't know, like you're really status conscious. How about you only flip through and match with those that have photographs or words that let you know that they're of the social class that would be appropriate for you, and you ignore the others. You don't put it in your bio. I don't think that would good. Psychology, not a real doctor's degree. Well, I did spend 7 years in graduate school and got a PhD. It's called a Doctor of Philosophy in Psychology. It's a doctorate. I'm not a clinical psychologist, but I do want to say this about star signs. I'm a psychology professor. There's been lots of research on astrology, and it's all debunked. You could literally, it's so vague that you could literally shuffle the cards. In fact, I do it in my intro to psychology class and throw out all the cards and say, this is your actual astrological sign or prescription. They go, yeah, that's me. And then I'm like, yeah, we just shuffled the cards. They're actually no science to it. How can you build intimacy in relationship? Okay, this is my last question before I go over to my Patreon Zoom room. You build intimacy by having boundaries at the beginning. And sometimes a boundary might sound like this. That's a really personal question. And I hope to get to know you well enough to be able to share that information with you later. So that's still intimacy, right? You're talking about your feelings. You feel a little shy about disclosing. And then you start to open up bit by bit by bit. And you look to see if they're reciprocating. Are they coming back with compassion? Are they showing empathy? Are they dismissing your feelings? Are they making jokes about it? Are they, just laughing or changing the subject really quickly? If that's happening, then you're working on trying to create intimacy, but they don't want intimacy. So eventually you'll find somebody who can reciprocate. All right, I'm going over to Patreon now. Come on over. Patreon, Patreon, patreon.com/Dr. Wendy Walsh. We've got a Zoom room. You can open up your cameras. It's every Wednesday night at 6:30 Pacific time. It's so great to see everybody. Love you all. Bye.